Hello, I'm Craig Brailsford, and welcome to another episode of Small Stocks, Big Money. For those of you new to the show, RedChip is an investor relations, media, and research firm focused on emerging growth companies. Our unique platform combines global multimedia with traditional investor relations, reaching investors around the world. Now, today's show features an interview with the CEO of Aptevo Therapeutics Inc. Aptevo is a clinical stage biotechnology company focused on developing novel, bispecific immunotherapies for the treatment of cancer. The company has two clinical candidates. Mepletamig is currently being evaluated in RAINIER, a phase 1b/2 trial for the treatment of frontline acute myeloid leukemia, or AML, in combination with the standard of care. Mepletamig has received orphan drug designation for AML according to the Orphan Drug Act. ALG APV 527, a bispecific conditional 4-1BB agonist, only active upon simultaneous binding to 4-1BB and 5T4, is being co-developed with Alligator Bioscience and is being evaluated in a phase 1 clinical trial for the treatment of multiple solid tumor types likely to express 5T4. The company has 3 preclinical candidates with different mechanisms of action designed to target a range of solid tumors. All pipeline candidates were created from 2 proprietary platforms, Adaptier and Adaptier Flex. The mission of Aptevo is to improve treatment outcomes and transform the lives of cancer patients. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Before we dive into our first interview, let's take a moment to recognize some of RedChip's top performers in 2024. Among them, RedCat, RCAT, up an incredible 1,293% in 2024. Alliance Entertainment, soaring by 842%. Gorilla Technology, which gained 250%. And Nova Minerals, up 149%. These companies have demonstrated the immense potential of the small cap market. Looking ahead to 2025, RedChip has also unveiled its top 25 small cap stocks to watch. This curated list includes names such as Venue Holding, VENU on the New York Stock Exchange American, and Trinity Biotech, TRIB on the NASDAQ. To learn more about why these and other exciting small cap stocks made it onto our 2025 list, visit redchip.com and download the full report. Now, let's move on to our quote of the week. It comes from the book, Small Stocks, Big Money. The market is not simply a digital machine executing trades, reflecting buy and sell orders and recording price movements. The market does not operate as an island unto itself. The market is an extension of the investors who bring it to life every day. Investors who breathe into it all their prejudices, presuppositions, knowledge and lack of knowledge, needs, hopes and fears, rational and irrational volatility, and inefficiencies extraordinaire. This quote comes from Dave Gentry, President and CEO of RedChip Companies, and it is featured in Small Stocks, Big Money, a book of exclusive interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's get started with our interview today with Aptevo Therapeutics. Hello, we're here today with Marvin White, President and CEO of Aptevo Therapeutics, trading on the NASDAQ under the ticker symbol APVO. Aptevo is a clinical stage biotechnology company focused on developing novel bispecific immunotherapies for the treatment of cancer. Marvin, welcome.
Thank you, Craig. It's always exciting to have an opportunity to tell the Aptevo story, so I appreciate you having me.
We can't wait to hear it, Marvin. Before we begin, however, I would like to remind the audience that in this interview, Mr. White will be talking about investigational drug products that have not yet been approved by the US FDA, but that are currently in clinical development. With that said, my first question for you, Marvin. I understand that you recently announced new data from your phase 1b/2 trial evaluating your lead candidate, Mepletamig, for the treatment of acute myeloid leukemia, or AML, which is a very serious type of blood cancer. Tell us about it and why is it so important?
Yeah, glad to do it, Craig. But before I talk a little bit about our announcement that we put out December 12th, let me begin to talk a little bit about this very deadly disease. Acute myeloid leukemia, or AML as it is known, is a very aggressive blood cancer that starts in the bone. About 20,000 patients are diagnosed each year, and a little bit more than one half of those diagnosed, I think the number is roughly 11,000, unfortunately die from this disease each year. When we talk about the survival rate, we typically talk about the 5-year survival rate for a disease. For AML, Craig, it's around 28%. I'm sad to say that means 3 out of 4 of the patients don't make it to year 5. So as you can see, this is a very aggressive disease that is taking a lot of lives, unfortunately. So we know the work we're doing here at Aptevo to find a more effective treatment or cure for this disease is extremely important to our patients and their families. So much so that the FDA has granted Aptevo what's known as orphan drug designation for meclatamag, recognizing this is a rare disease with unmet patient needs. This designation will allow us the opportunity to seek additional market exclusivity for a specific period of time upon approval. Now, our investors love that. Now, Craig, getting back to your question regarding our results, and I have to contain myself because I'm just so excited. On December 12th, we were excited to announce results from cohort 1 of our Rainier Frontline AML combination trial that 100% of the patients enrolled achieved remission within 30 days. Craig, let me say that again. 100% of the patients enrolled achieved remission within 30 days. Can you imagine, Craig, what those results meant for those patients and their families? And for it to occur, remember, we announced this December 12th during the holiday period. That was icing on the cake. Additionally, one patient achieved minimal residual disease, or MRD negative status. MRD negative status is the best possible outcome for an AML patient enrolled in our study, because what it means is there was no detectable sign of AML blasts in the patient's blood, which potentially makes them a candidate for a bone marrow transplant. Now, in our previous trial, we've had multiple patients who went on to have a bone marrow transplant. When that occurs, this better positions the patient for a long-term cure. Although we're excited, and I'm telling you, we're really excited about most of the recent data, to be honest, we're not surprised because the outcomes support our previous expansion trial outcomes, where we saw very similar results, to be quite frank. In fact, while meclatamag is not approved for market by the FDA in clinical trials, we've treated more than 90 patients. That's quite a bit of patients. And we are thrilled that the data trend continues to be positive.
Marvin, that is indeed very exciting. Now, please talk more about the company. How is Aptevo different from other companies that are working on bispecifics and other anti-cancer agents for that matter?
Yeah, Aptevo's secret sauce, Craig, in comparison to other companies developing bispecifics, and I might add, bispecifics are really hot and growing in clinical importance right now. But comparing Aptevo to other companies developing bispecifics and anti-cancer agents, we think our secret sauce is due to our unique approach, which is built on 5 foundational pillars that drive Aptevo forward each and every day, which are to build anti-cancer agents that are 1, targeted, 2, powerful, 3, combinable, 4, predictable, and 5, repeatable. Craig, let me talk about our 5 pillars in more detail for your audience. The first pillar is to build cancer agents that are targeted, making sure we target cancer cells while protecting healthy cells and tissue. This is the key to successful drug development because targeted therapy speaks to reducing off-target effects and increasing safety and tolerability for patients who are literally fighting for their lives. I personally believe we do this quite well. Craig, our second pillar is to build cancer agents that are powerful. Our goal is to build therapies that are potent, efficacious anti-cancer agents that can advance treatment outcomes for patients with limited treatment options. From my perspective as CEO, this is a non-negotiable. The third pillar is combinable. Look, we have to build drugs that work with other drugs because that is how cancer is treated. For us here at Aptevo, combinable means maximizing the power of our therapeutics. So they're additive to an existing or emerging standard of care, and they are targeted to minimize the side effects associated with
other agents.
A good example of this is the way meclatamag combines with the standard of care venetoclax and azacitidine as we're evaluating it in the Rainier trial. Based on the data seen so far, this is occurring without increasing the toxicity burden. The fourth pillar is predictable. Our molecules are precisely and rationally designed for consistent clinical performance, and we can project that performance in our clinical studies. So Craig, please allow me to brag just for a minute on the work our research and development team is doing. You know, those folks do all the heavy lifting, and folks like myself end up getting all the credit. So forgive me for giving my R&D team a little shout out. Our research team has successfully predicted the safety, tolerability, and clinical activity for both of our clinical programs to date. The team told us during the preclinical phase of development, which is, as you know, the very early stage, what was going to happen in the clinic. I'm here to tell you their preclinical prediction came true based on the data we've generated to date. So thank you, Craig, for allowing me to take a moment just to recognize my team, because it's clear these folks know what they are doing. Also, we believe such predictability helps decrease early program risk, which over time lowers our cash burn rate. My CFO is smiling because she loves when that happens, and can improve the time to market. This helps us to fulfill our ultimate mission of designing and developing ways to help the body essentially heal itself. The final pillar is repeatable. The success of our platform and for the long-term value of the company is for us to be able to consistently reproduce drugs across various therapies. To put it in context, for such a small company, we've been able to produce 5 drugs. 2 candidates have been advanced to the clinical phase and 3 innovative preclinical drugs. We believe this should serve as evidence that our Aptevo and Aptevo Flex platforms, which we 100% own, can deliver innovation at a scalable level. You know, here at Aptevo, Craig, we're not just about innovation. Although make no mistake about it, we know innovation is extremely important in our business. We're also about delivering precision engineered, targeted, powerful, combinable, predictable, and repeatable solutions for our patients.
Now, aside from meclatamag, are there other drugs in the pipeline?
Yes, sir, Craig. Including meclatamag, we have a total of 5 drugs, 2 in the clinic, as I've talked about, and 3 preclinical candidates. The 3 preclinical candidates are all 100% owned by Aptevo and are focused on, get this, fighting solid tumors. As you would expect, the reason I'm smiling is because we are thrilled with the success we're having with our 2 clinical candidates, meclatamag and 527. And based on this success, we are eager to advance our preclinical candidates into the clinic. If I could just talk about 2 of them, for example, APVO 711 is a checkpoint inhibitor, get this, with added functionality. And then the second preclinical candidate I'd like to highlight for you is APVO 442. This is a prostate cancer drug targeted to treat the most challenging cases of prostate cancer. Craig, I suspect, like me, you have had family and friends that have had to deal with this deadly disease. So your audience should stay tuned. There's more to come from Aptevo.
Marvin, what type of market opportunities exist for your pipeline candidates?
Look, we are targeting very large multi-billion-dollar markets with significant unmet patient needs. You know, Craig, we're small today and we understand that, but we're playing to win big. For example, AML is projected to be a $6 billion market. Looking at the solid tumor targets for 527, breast cancer is a $32 billion market and growing. Non-small cell lung cancer is a $24 billion market. Colorectal cancer is a $16 billion market. These are only a few of the solid tumor markets we will potentially pursue with 527. And keep in mind, all of our preclinical drugs are 100% owned by Aptevo, And we anticipate those drugs will play, as I've said previously, in the solid tumor multi-billion-dollar market space.
Talk more, please, about your clinical stage solid tumor drug, ALG APV 527.
You know, Craig, I get so excited talking about meplanogimab's success that I sometimes forget to talk about our second clinical candidate. I need to take a deep breath here, Craig, because ALG-APV 527 is another exciting clinical program being developed in partnership with Swedish biotech Alligator Bioscience. The drug yielded encouraging results in the solid tumor space in 2024. You know, 527 is a clinical stage first in class bispecific antibody that is being developed for the treatment of solid tumors that are likely to express the tumor antigen 5T4. Based on our preclinical research, 5T4 is expressed on quite a few solid tumors. The key to this drug is 5T4 is on solid tumors, but get this, not necessarily on normal tissue, meaning we've designed the drug to help reduce unnecessary side effects. What our targeting allows, Craig, is for us to do this with this first-in-class drug is bind to a novel conditional 4-1BB agonist mechanism, which is only active when binding to 5T4. Once 5T4 and 4-1BB bind via our bispecific technology, that is where the magic happens. Because 4-1BB activates the T cells and NK cells, or natural killing cells, so that they can essentially kill the solid tumor cancer cells, fulfilling the ultimate mission of immunotherapy, which is designing and developing ways to help the body heal itself. You know, other companies, Craig, have tried to utilize 4-1BB because it is really a great target, but some have been unable to manage the liver toxicity issue, which is very common when you target 4-1BB. So far, keep your fingers crossed, but based on the phase 1 trial results, we believe our R&D team may have figured out how to utilize this great target without triggering the negative liver side effect. So let me talk a little bit, Craig, about the clinical highlights of the 527 phase 1 trial. You know, based on the phase 1 clinical data, this investigational drug appears to be safe and tolerable with no signs of liver toxicity in subjects to date. Although this is something we will continue to study and monitor as development continues. But in the trial, 58% to be exact, achieved stable disease. If I can just talk about a couple of those patients. We had one patient, a colon cancer patient, that maintained stable disease for 6 months. And then we had a second patient, a breast cancer patient, that remained stable, get this, for more than 11 months. So we know 5T4 is a well-known tumor antigen, which is overexpressed in multiple solid tumors, including breast cancer, non-small cell lung cancer, and colorectal cancer. But the key to this target is it is limited expression. I mean, the expression is just very limited on normal tissue. Now, I believe personally 4-1BB is a great target if, and only if, you can figure out how to manage the liver toxicity issue. As I said before, quite a few companies have been unable to manage the liver toxicity issue. Fortunately, based on the data thus far, it appears our team may have figured it out. I believe 4-1BB is a great target for this drug because the way the team actually designed it. 4-1BB, it only activates the way we designed it in the presence of 5T4 to stimulate immune cells such as T cells and NK cells. These are the cells in the body that attack cancer cells. Now, I'm smart enough to realize that some of your listeners, this may sound like mumbo jumbo, so I get that. So for those listeners, Craig, who may not have the scientific background to understand what I've just highlighted, here's another way I would like for them to think about it. This drug is designed to shine a flashlight on the cancer tumor cells, which are sometimes difficult for the body to recognize. Once that light shines on the cancer tumors, the cells in the body that are designed to kill tumors, such as T cells and NK cells, due to this flashlight effect that I'm describing, can now go to work to kill the cancer. That's why, Craig, I personally refer to this drug, first-in-class mechanism of action, as magical.
Turning now, Marvin, to the people at Aptevo, starting with you. I understand that you bring deep, big pharma experience to the company from your time at Lilly. Talk about that and talk about some of the other particularly noteworthy experiences that your team brings to the table.
Craig, thank you for acknowledging my Eli Lilly pharma experience because it's been very helpful to me as president and CEO of Aptevo Therapeutics. For such a small company, we are fortunate to have a really strong management team and board of directors. Our team experience and expertise include our board chair, Dr. John Niederhuber. You know, John is a former director of the National Cancer Institute. Our chief medical officer, the leader that is currently managing both of our clinical programs, Dr. Dirk Hubner. He has over 3 decades of academic and drug development experience, including senior roles at big pharma such as BMS and Sanofi, to name a few. So we know we have the experience and expertise to lead the company. So, Craig, really appreciate you asking the question.
Now, Marvin, final question, but it's the most important one. What is the essential value proposition? In summary, why should investors take an interest in Aptevo?
Craig, when we begin to look at our business from an investor perspective, I believe we have to think about it differently. Just looking at the data from the McPletamec trial and the phase 1 data of our 527 solid tumor drug, you can see we're on the verge of building something really special here at Aptevo. It is my understanding that investors are always in search of that needle in the haystack company or that unique diamond in the rough company. I believe an informed investor, Craig, could make a strong argument given our recent accomplishments in the clinic and our current market cap, unfortunately, that we fit that unusual description. You know, using our proprietary Adaptier and Adaptier Flex platforms, we've been able to innovate at a scalable level. For such a small company, as a reminder, we have 5 candidates, 2 clinical and 3 preclinical. So it's not out of the question that we would be a growing interest to big pharma. That's why, Craig, I would encourage investors to take a strong look at the work we're doing here at Aptevo. Thank you.
Thank you, Marvin, for sharing your amazing story with us.
It's my pleasure, Craig, and I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to tell your audience more about the Aptevo story.
Now, to get more information on Aptevo Therapeutics, visit apvoinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like Aptevo Therapeutics. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. Now, let's recap the company featured today. Today, you met the CEO of Aptevo Therapeutics Incorporated, APVO, on the NASDAQ. Aptevo Therapeutics is a clinical stage biotechnology company focused on developing novel bispecific immunotherapies for the treatment of cancer. The company has 2 clinical candidates. McPletamec is currently being evaluated in Rainier, a phase 1b/2 trial for the treatment of frontline acute myeloid leukemia, or AML, in combination with the standard of care. McPletamec has received an orphan drug designation for AML according to the Orphan Drug Act. ALG APV 527, a bispecific conditional 4-1BB agonist, which is only active upon simultaneous binding to 4-1BB and 5T4, is being co-developed with Alligator Bioscience and is being evaluated in a phase 1 clinical trial for the treatment of multiple solid tumor types likely to express 5T4. The company has 3 preclinical candidates with different mechanisms of action designed to target a range of solid tumors. All pipeline candidates were created from two proprietary platforms, Adaptier and Adaptier Flex. The Aptevo mission is to improve treatment outcomes and transform the lives of cancer patients. Learn more at www.apvoinfo.com. Don't forget, look at our stocks page. It is the biggest small cap stock portal in the industry. Every company listed on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange with market caps of $2 billion and less. And it's categorized by industries. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Be sure to sign up also for our weekly newsletter and learn about a lot of small cap companies. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, if you have any questions about any of our public companies featured on today's show, call us at 1-800-RedChip or email us at info@redchip.com. In closing, remember, while small caps can provide significant gains, you must be prepared for the downside. Small cap stocks are among the most volatile of asset classes. Some of the companies featured on this show are RedChip client companies, and we may own stock in these companies. So please, always read our disclosures at redchip.com. Thanks for being with us today. We'll see you next week with some new, exciting, emerging growth companies.